Oh, well, welcome today to our newest digital tools spotlight here with EveryAction. I'm Taylor Shanklin. I'm the Vice President of Growth at Firefly Partners. We are a digital marketing and technology agency that helps organizations better use tools like what you're going to see here on EveryAction and like some of the other tools that you've seen on our tech spotlight so far. So I want to welcome to the stage today Carly Harris. She's the Director of Sales Engineering at EveryAction. Hey Carly, how are you doing today?
Good, thanks.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Any words of wisdom right now for people as they're thinking about like technology and what you guys are doing?
So I think for a lot of our clients and prospective clients that we've spoken to recently, everything going on, some of their priorities have shifted. And so they're really trying to, maybe for a number of our clients or prospective clients, events were a big revenue generator, and they're trying to kind of pivot and think about how they can use their technology to, do things like transition to Zoom events. And we've recently built an integration for that, or even just engage with their supporters in a different way and make sure that their supporter base stays engaged rather than trying to invest a bunch and trying to find new donors. So I think it's kind of been rethinking what their 2020 and 2021 look like.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of similar things. So it's always good to get other people's perspectives on what kinds of conversations are happening. That's definitely a similar theme and a similar pattern. So we'll get into how to do that with the technology. That's a lot of what we like to nerd out about. And, it's funny that you said that because it got me thinking like we've done a number of these, tech spotlights lately, and we just released our, digital marketing tool guide of 2020 that has EveryAction featured in it. And I've been thinking a lot about like the colliding of technology and people. And when you think about how you use technology as an organization and how your technology touches the people who support your cause, there's a person behind it, right? And so like this, it reminded me of this, like the woman at the, phone switchboard, everyone's dialing in and saying hello, and they're all trying to get connected, to have conversations with people, right? To connect, to build community, and to drive conversations. And when we think about what we do, we really look at how can we be the humans behind it to drive that conversation. So as you think about what, ways you may be making some digital pivots right now, it's really about driving the right conversations with the right people. And that's what the woman at the switchboard is doing. So the problem is that a lot of people, and if you've been dialing into the webinar, you've kind of seen this slide before, but just to set us up before I hand it over to Carly, the problem is a lot of us think about digital fundraising and engagement very transactionally, right? But there's a lot of, humans behind what you're actually doing. There's a lot of humans who are showing up to your events, who are logging into those events, maybe virtually now, who are giving you their support. And so when we think about something that we at Firefly have been talking a lot about lately, this concept of human to human digital, and what does that look like? It's being that woman on the switchboard, right? It's connecting the dots between your systems, your organization, and your impact, and then the humans who ultimately show up and support it and connect with your mission. So that's why we're here. That's what we do. And that all being said, I'm going to hand it over to Carly to spotlight EveryAction, to talk about how EveryAction creates those connection points and gives your humans that support your cause a holistic digital experience with your organization. All right, so Carly, I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to pass it over to you to get your share going.
Okay, just a second. And thanks for the intro, Taylor. I think, it's, we are very much aligned in that as well. That's kind of what I was leading to, is making sure that, you really understand your supporters. And I think that's, for us at EveryAction, that's kind of one of the biggest things that we focus on is how can you use that, how can you make sure that you really have a 360-degree view of your donors, your supporters, and then how can you really, so I'm trying to figure out, there we go. How can you utilize that data to make sure engaging with them in the way that, they prefer to be engaged. And how can you really use that data to treat them as kind of the full rounded individual that they are, rather than, they're not an ATM, and people, respond better, able to build a deeper relationship with your organization when you're able to take the data that you have about them, collect more of that data, and then use that to be like thoughtful and intentional with that engagement.
That's right.
That kind of brings us to a really quick, like, what is EveryAction? And we focus on being a unified CRM. So we offer, we have all of our digital tools. We have a full CRM capability and fundraising tools as well. One thing that we always just like to throw out there is we're also a mission-driven business. And so that's kind of just, about us a little bit. It's important to, like, we really push ourselves. It's important to the clients that we work with as well. We're selective with who we work with, and we hold ourselves to the same high standard as our clients in terms of, how our employees are treated and how we conduct our business. And then kind of getting into the CRM piece. So, how do you get a 360-degree view of a supporter who may be a volunteer, maybe they first were introduced to your organization through an advocacy action, right, that they came across on Twitter, and they filled out that advocacy action, then got on your email list, then started becoming more engaged, taking more actions, making donations, opening a lot of your emails. That's important to not only be able to track, but then, understand what channels they are receiving information from you, as well as, their preferred way to give, their preferred way to receive those communications, and kind of specifically, what types of things are they interested in. So all of that coming back is going to allow you to then, make fundraising asks. I think, Taylor, you kind of got at this, right? It's like, it's the who do you ask for what when, and, who are supporters who have been really engaged with our email but haven't yet taken an action, or haven't yet made a donation, and how do we kind of, again, use that information and even automate using that information to continue to kind of keep them engaged and get them involved in other ways. So our CRM is pretty vast. We've done entire 20-hour demos. This obviously is just going to be a quick overview. But you'll see here we have a lot of different pieces of the platform. So we have a full fundraising suite that covers offline fundraising as well. So your traditional major gifts, pledges, all of your pledges, your planned giving, your grants management, as well as a full direct mail suite of tools. Most of our clients, really take advantage of our digital tools. So that's going to be full targeted email. We have marketing automation workflows. We can enable one-click donations onto our suite of forms. So we have everything from contribution form to just interest forms where you can collect more information about your supporters, as well as stories. So that's something that we can show a little bit down the line when I show some forms. But, again, like being able to really get your supporters excited about your mission and create and collect more information from them that will allow you to communicate with them better in the future. So that full suite of forms and within our digital tools, so they can take all of those online actions. Additionally, we offer peer-to-peer, and we offer SMS as well. So you can take, use all of the data that you've collected on your supporters within EveryAction, and the same way that you would send an email, we can pick from a really segmented list of folks to also send a text message. Beyond that, we also have advocacy. So we offer federal, state, local, and custom targets on our advocacy forms, and I'll show an example in a minute. We do both the traditional, form or email, so using communicating with Congress API, as well as just being able to, post to an elected official's form or send to an email. We also offer social advocacy, so think about that as that like public peer pressure on Twitter as an option, as well as click to call. So we have clients of a wide range who have an advocacy mission and use these tools and kind of often use a combination of these tools to make sure that they are kind of using their supporter base to really put pressure on particular elected officials around certain issue areas. And then we won't talk about this quite as much today, but we have organizing as well. So voter contact and mobilization, your volunteer and event management. And then last slide before I actually go into the platform. This is what we're going to look at. But if you walk away with one thing today, I think this is really our big mission statement is how do you have a powerful integrated CRM that is going to tell you, give you really the full picture of who a supporter is and allow you to really utilize that and make that data actually actionable, right? Not just collect data that's going to sit in a CRM that basically functions as a dusty warehouse, right? But a CRM that's going to allow you to then harness the information that your supporters tell you, right? That they give you about themselves or that they tell you through their actions, through their email opens or their form signups. Take all of that information and then use that for your digital and your fundraising efforts in the future for, just increased efficiency and increased engagement. So this is kind of our wheelhouse. This is where we think our area of the market is really being able to help organizations with this piece, the collection of information, but also the utilization of all these different powerful data points. And when you have all this and you're able to see your supporters as, fully rounded people, you're better able to continue keeping them in your network and have the best asks for them. So this is just a really quick slide. Again, we work with a really diverse range of clients who, some of them have, just digital tools with us. Some of them use us for digital and fundraising and some organizing and advocacy as well. So the full range. All right, I'm gonna pause my screen share real quick and then I'll jump into the platform. If there are any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. I'm sure Taylor or I can check them out.
Yeah. And I went ahead and stopped my video so everyone can just see what you're showing. But please do type in questions into the chat and I'll be monitoring those. And I also put something a little fun in here. Let us know either where you're joining from or a favorite song you're recently listening to. And
great. So really quickly, I always think our clients are our best examples, right? We'll jump into the platform and see how this actually works. But just to give an example of kind of one of our clients is National Women's Law Center. And you'll see here their donation form. We'll take a quick look at an advocacy form as well. A few things that I just want to point out is flexibility in the customization here. But also, we have a lot of things that we make really easy for organizations to just kind of check a box in the build step to add these different features. So for example, making a gift monthly. So this is an option that you can add. We also have the ability to, or we give our clients rather the ability to very easily add a Lightbox upsell. So I think this is an area that I'm really proud that we do as a company is we had a number of clients, and I think I kind of alluded to this in the beginning, which is, how do you keep your supporters, right? Like rather than going out and having to do an expensive mission to find new supporters, how do you keep, your donors from lapsing, right? How do you make the most of the donor and supporter base that you have? We had a number of clients who were doing custom work to build out a sustainer upsell Lightbox, but that wasn't feasible for many of our clients. And so we took that work and we actually built it into the product when our clients who had built this out custom were telling us that it was really working for them, that they were able to convert a ton of one-time donors to sustainers just by asking at the last step, hey, are you sure you don't want to become a sustainer? We can take your, $30 gift and make it a $10 a month gift. So the ability to really just easily kind of add features like that on a form and be able to test those kinds of things out is something that I think our clients really appreciate. We can do honor memory of as well. The other big thing that you'll notice about our forms is that they're pre-filled. Taylor and I were kind of joking about having kids at home during COVID, but time is at a premium now more than ever. And so, you know, from our email tool, and I think this is, again, where you'll see the benefit of a unified platform, from our email tool, as well as through a cookie on the browser, and what we have up here, fast action, you'll be able to, your supporters would, you know, you land on one of our forms, there's a pretty good chance that it's going to be pre-filled. So we have smart links from our email. So if I came to this form from an email, my information would already be pre-filled. Also, if I came onto this form and I've ever filled out another EveryAction form, a cookie will follow me along to this, and you'll see that my information is pre-filled. I think another big thing in the time of COVID is the flexibility of different payment amounts. So being able, we can pay with a card, a bank account, EFT. My personal favorite these days has been Apple Pay. We offer Apple Pay on our forms, and at least for me, it makes it way too easy to make a donation, and PayPal. So again, like meeting your supporters where they are. We want to like lower the barrier to giving as much as we can, so that, you know, folks who, you know, are, you know, feel passionately about your mission, or they see an email or an ad or something that really hits home with them, and they go to make a donation, that we're able to really kind of like capture that enthusiasm and momentum, rather than, you know, they have to go up and go dig around a purse and find a credit card. And so we want to make sure, again, like lowering the barrier. It's not going to take a lot of time to fill out this form. Even my payment information, I've opted to have pre-filled. So again, making it really easy to go through this process as I'm trying to make a donation. And then really quickly, before I jump into the platform itself, I want to just highlight National Women Law Center's action page. So as I mentioned, you know, part of our mission is really advocacy based. We work really hard to, you know, not only offer different types of advocacy, but make sure that those, all of those have really high deliverability. I'm not sure if she's still on this call, but for a second, would shout out one of my team members who had joined, Sarah, who leads up our advocacy, and the team works pretty tirelessly to make sure that these messages are actually delivered. So we usually have around like a 95 to 97% deliverability rate, which is pretty high in the industry. And we do that in a number of different ways, but we have a full dedicated team that is going to make sure that these messages are getting through. And we built some stopgaps on our end to make sure that, you know, if an elected official changes up the form on their site and any of these fail, we'll catch them, fix the issue, and then redeliver. So again, you'll see my information to my senators pre-filled. We have nice photos here, so supporters feel a little bit more connected to, hey, this is the person that I'm going to be sending this to. And then some customization here of how, you know, of the message that you're sending. So again, like this is a traditional form email. We have Twitter as well, if you'd like to Twitter shame or Twitter praise some elected officials. You can do multiple messages additionally. So if my senators were on different sides of this issue, you could structure this so that a positive message might go to one and a please reconsider message would go to another. So I think we're thoughtful about things like prefix as well. So you'll see I have to fill out my prefix because it's required by my senators. When I go ahead and deliver and send this message, I am taken, again, capitalizing on that enthusiasm. I felt strongly about that issue. I am taken straight to a customized donation page that the National Women's Law Center has created around COVID. And the message kind of tagging on to what I just told them that I cared about with that advocacy action, thanking me for taking action, talking about, you know, what this means for gaps in labor laws, and then pivoting to talk about their work and making a donation ask. So in our system, it's really easy to daisy chain these forms together so that you can really harness the enthusiasm of your supporter. If there aren't any questions, those are kind of the main things that I wanted to, oh, I'll show one more actually. On the take action step as well, National Women's Law Center has made it available to share a story. So this is something that a number of our clients, from National Women's Law Center to Raíces to Patients for Affordable Drugs, a whole range of clients have asked, made it available and asked their supporters for a story. Some of them do really specific story campaigns around an issue, or generally ask for a story. And this is going to allow me to tell this organization more about myself, more about my connection to their mission. And this can be customized, so your organization can ask for permission to use this. So this is also a way of, you know, generating content and being connected to those of your supporters who might be a good fit for like grass tops advocacy, like a legislative day, or, you know, who might be a good person to be featured in a newsletter or featured, their story featured on the blog, right? So this is a nice way that some of our clients have utilized our EveryAction forms to collect more information about those supporters. All the fields that I've showed you on all these forms are all going to come right back to the same place on my record. So you'll be able to see, you know, if I go in and look at my record, all of these different components on my record. So you'll see me, right, as a full person who takes advocacy actions, shares my story, feels passionately about X and Y issue, and makes donations. All right. If there are no questions, I will jump straight into the platform. So, you know, I always feel like a broken record when we talk about the 360-degree view, but I think this is where it really comes together. So you'll see here our supporter and donor, Patricia. You'll see some important pieces of information, you know, her address, if we have a staff member assigned to her, a membership level. I don't think I mentioned this in the first slide, but we do have a membership program as well. So if you have a membership program with a strong digital component, that's something that our system can accommodate. We can take you know, specific criteria and generate a membership program. So I'm actually going to go ahead and click overview for Patricia. And I think this will give you a sense of what we really mean when we say 360-degree view. So down here, we have what we call our activity stream. And this is actually going to give us a chronological view of activity within this committee. So for our organization, we're able to see all of Patricia's actions in chronological order. And we can even filter. Maybe we just want to look at her contributions, or we want to look at her contributions and any form she's filled out online, right? We're able to go back and see and get a sense of kind of what her journey with us has been like. So this can, again, cover anything from when we've reached out to her. Maybe there's, you know, donor services person reached out because she requested a refund, or we receive an online form sign up or an event sign up from her, or an activist code is added to her record. Activist code's just our name for a people, like a person code. And so for those people codes, you know, maybe filling out an advocacy form to save the whales tells us that Patricia feels passionately about whales, and that's something that you can automate to be added to her record if she fills out a particular form. So I think this is just a nice actual visual of kind of how we think about the data and how we think about that data collecting back to individuals. Again, so you're not seeing them as, you know, an ATM or just, you know, kind of a series of data points on a screen, but really like getting a sense of who they are and what their journey in their relationship with your organization is. We'll have our financial overview here. So we have everything from her contributions to any attributions and soft credits. She includes, everything from donor advised fund giving to, corporate giving, or just your very traditional soft credit. Sarah invited me to do an event and I bought a ticket and made a donation as well. And then we have our monthly commitments. And I do just want to pause here and talk a little bit about how we handle sustainers, because I think it is fairly unique and has been a major advantage for a lot of our clients. So when we think about sustainers, we really think about the whole sustainer life cycle. So that's everything from, I'll ask, clients, prospective clients, they think like, how important is it to you? Like, are you really looking to grow your sustainer base? And I should probably stop asking this. I never hear no, right? Most everyone is trying to grow their sustainer base. And so we really think again about like holistically, how do we make that happen? So we put a lot of development on the front end. Earlier, we saw that form and you saw the monthly checkbox. That's something that can be defaulted. We have some clients like Audubon who have a monthly giving program where there's not even a checkbox. It's just very clearly communicated that's monthly. And those donations come into our system as recurring monthly gifts. But we also have things like that Sustainer Lightbox upsell that we make really easy to add onto one of your contribution forms, so that a donor about to make a $20 gift is instead asked to make a $10 a month gift. So all the different things we do to make it easy to complete on forms and easy to have those upsells, and easy to find supporters and search in our query tool to find segments and find groups of your supporters who have maybe made some sporadic gifts and might be a good individual to ask to consider a recurring gift and join a recurring gift program. So we make that easy in the front end to kind of build and add sustainers. But then, right, the more sustainers you have, the more sustainers you have to manage. And so I think we've done a really nice job of making that process easy to manage, so you can have more sustainers without more work, without like a lot more time spent managing them. So this is an example of a recurring commitment. So that monthly gift, any change that I make to this is automatically pushed through to a payment processor. So if I were to change it to, if Patricia, the supporter, calls me and asks and tells me she wants to change it to $100, hopefully, right, she calls and she ups it to $200 a month. Whatever that might be, when I go to save this, it will automatically begin processing through the payment processor. So there's no need to go to two different places. Same with an end, if we were to set an end date, or maybe she asked to skip this month, we can make any of those changes right here. It also goes for updating her payment information. So if she calls us to update her payment information, or if we have a self-service portal where supporters can update their payment information as well. So it's really, again, as easy as going in and just hitting update payment information. We can put in a new credit card here. So that's kind of the management of these. We have a lot of reports. So because we have the way that our team has built this, you're able to see, so for example, for this credit card, you're able to see an expiration date. It's something you can search on as well. And then you'll also see let me skip down to the bottom, for all of the contributions that are part of this monthly gift, the status. So anything you see here, again, is searchable and reportable. So we're able to see for this individual, Patricia, that all of these gifts have settled. But, we can also see in a report, our monthly donors whose gifts are settled, as well as be flagged for any payments that have failed. And that kind of brings me to that final piece of that life cycle is, we've gotten more sustainers, we're more easily managing the sustainers. someone calls or has a question, I'm able to really quickly and easily see all the contributions that are part of this monthly commitment, and give them details on these gifts, as well as any changes that have been made to this over time. But then in making sure that, we are retaining and in case of lapsed sustainers, recapturing those sustainers, we've built a lot of automations into the platform. So this is actually something where I'm going to hop over to our automation tool. A nice segue. So we've built some automations into the platform, everything from, we are listening to some automated trigger emails. So, we already have, if someone makes a gift online, they can get an auto email that's a thank you acknowledgement and a receipt. We also are going to have the ability to automatically send an email to a supporter whose payment has failed. You can automate those really easily in here. We can also automate emails. We have some clients who do it on both sides. They build a dynamic query to find anyone whose credit card is going to expire in the next 30 to 90 days, and start sending them an email series asking them, letting them know, hey, the credit card we have for you is about to expire. Can you go ahead and update this? We have a credit card updater that will catch a lot of those as well. But there may be some that aren't caught. Someone just closes down a credit card. You can very easily automate an email series so that when someone's payment begins failing, they're sent an email reminding them how important their monthly gift is to your organization, along with a link to the self-service portal, one of our forms where they can update their payment information themselves, so that those payments will again begin processing. So just some options there. And as I kind of alluded to automation, I want to dive in and show an example. Great. So that's what I just went over is kind of how we handle sustainers through the full life cycle, and coming to automation and thinking about, problems that we know we want to solve, things that we want to automate, and both like re-engagement of those lapsed donors, as well as re-engagement of like lapsed supporters, are both things that can be automated within our automation tool. So this is a workflow that we have created. It's really easy to kind of create a criteria, entrance criteria. What is the criteria that we want to kind of pop someone into this automated workflow? What does this email look like? So we have the ability here to build a new email. We have a full email platform, and so this is pulling an existing email that I selected. So we have everything from, all of the message information. We can use merged fields throughout. So again, as you think about ways to kind of personalize these emails, from the email subject to within the body of the email, using merge fields, using conditional content, and you can use conditional content around all of those merge fields as well to make sure those emails are really personalized and engaging. Once you send that email, the re-engagement email, you have the ability to set a wait time. So we can say, hey, give them a couple days. And then we're going to use that data that we collect about how they reacted to this first email to determine which path they take. We're going to branch this, and was the email opened is going to be our decision point here, our fork in the road, if you will. So if they open the support email, that's great. We're going to note that they were re-engaged on the first attempt, remove them from the series. If they did not open that email, then we're going to send a goodbye email. We can wait. We want to set another, another decision to determine, hey, was that goodbye email opened? And then be able to see yes or no. And then equally important with everything I've shown you is the ability to report on all of this. So once this is already running, we can see, we'll be able to see stats for each email here, as well as kind of what the actual breakdown was of you know, whether or not this email was opened. So really the goal here is that this is, we have a lot of templates to make it easy. We have a couple templates. There's a lot of flexibility here. So you'll see, you know, really anything you can query on our system, which is quite a lot, can be built into an entrance criteria to kind of kick off one of these triggered email series. And then within it, you know, you have all the full capability of our email that I can get into in a minute. The ability to kind of really create in an easy and we think pretty intuitive and visual way. We tested this with a whole lot of clients throughout the process of building it, but making sure it's like visual and intuitive so that, you know, you're empowered to create more sophisticated segmentation and branching, kind of no matter what the goal of this particular email series and workflow is. I feel like I'm doing a lot of talking, so please, if you have a question, again, just feel free to throw it in the chat. I'm going to really quickly go into our targeted email tool. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to show really quickly what our query tool looks like. Very rarely is it the most exciting part of a technology platform, but we think of this as one of the most important pieces that we like, one of the most important values that we bring to our clients. So we have a really robust query tool that's going to allow you, when I talked about harnessing, you know, all the different data points about a supporter, this is where you do that. So this is where you can build segments on anything from contribution information to, you know, the last email that they opened, how many emails they are opening, the most recent date they clicked an email, most recent date they opened an email, any conversions from emails. So they opened that email, they made that gift, they took that action, or just down to kind of more summary. Hey, I want anyone who has opened, you know, 2 or more emails, or maybe 2 to 20 emails in a particular date range. But I can also combine that with, so I want people who've opened a bunch of emails, but then I remove people who have taken action, right? Or I would just want people, I want people who have opened all these emails, but their most recent gift was over a year ago, or their most recent action they took was over a year ago. Or they've never taken an advocacy action, but they're opening all of our kind of action alert emails, and then being able to save this as a dynamic query and push this to, this can be sent to our email tool, this can be sent to our automation workflow, you can send this to do digital ads. So we can take this query and say, hey, for all of these folks, right, let's send them an email. And then a few days later, let's target them or a lookalike audience to a digital ad that we can put on any platform or just within EveryAction push directly to our Facebook ad manager. So there are a lot of options here, but we think that this is really the most important component because you can take all of these pieces of information, whatever you're using on our platform, that little 4-box slide that I showed earlier, right? Any of those kind of modules within our system, the data points that are associated with them will be in here and can be used by you. So again, they're opening a bunch of emails, but they haven't made a contribution, or they, since they've signed up, you know, they've taken a lot of actions so far, and so maybe we want to take these supporters and we want to send them an email or add an activist code saying, hey, this person is, you know, heavily involved, right? They're taking a ton of action. Like this is, you know, this is someone we want to consider, you know, I don't know, this is someone that we want to consider an important person to engage. I think the other thing that I didn't mention on our forms is once you fill one of those out, at the last step, you'll be able to, you have the ability to share on Facebook or Twitter. And beyond just sharing, like we give you the ability to, decide what the subject and message of that share is, and actually also enable refer tracking. So if my friend Sarah, right, she shares it on Facebook, and then I click, you're able to, not only see that on the respective profiles, but also search within here for folks within your network who are sharing a lot of your forums and content. So it's a little easier to find people who might be kind of those social media influencers, or just are really, your ambassadors and are sharing your content on social for a lot of their friends, and getting a lot of traction that way. So it's nice to, in addition to just the basic things that you're collecting on forums, you're also collecting information like that. How people are getting to the forums, being able to track the source code, and track the, one of my favorite things in here is to be able to see the origin source code. So the very first source code that generates someone's record, maybe that's, because of, I saw an online ad and was taken to a forum and decided to sign up for your email. All those types of pieces of information that are going to tell you really more about who I am and how I think about my relationship with your organization. You're going to be able to find in here, and between kind of the speed of this, the flexibility, and honestly just being a tool that's fairly easy for anyone to use and kind of find different segments of your audience, and use it to push to your marketing, whether that's, email or those online ads, your direct mail if you're doing that, or even push to an SMS text, is really going to, for a lot of our clients, it makes their lives easier, and makes it a lot easier for them to get the right message to the right people at the right time.
I know, Carly, you said that the querying is not always like the sexiest tool in the toolbox, but it's the most powerful, and one of the most important things as you're thinking about, like you said, really talking to the right people at the right time and actually building meaningful connections. So I'm glad that you pointed that out, even though maybe it doesn't look great on the surface. It's these powerful tools are what are really important to drive that, correct interaction. So I'll just echo you on those sentiments there.
No, thank you. And then the last thing I kind of want to jump in and show is just within our email tool. So I'm going to go into, just go into a draft email here. And I think, so one of the things that we really pride ourselves on is making it, as much as possible, we want to build in email deliverability best practices into the system, right? Vendor to vendor, there are things that will impact your deliverability, but the biggest thing is going to be, really honestly, the biggest things to be domain reputation. And so how do we as a vendor help our clients make it really easy to do things that we know are going to improve their deliverability and their inbox placement? So everything from, we have our audience builder, make it really clear what this looks like. So when I'm going in, I can recalculate this recipient summary. Those dynamic queries that we just looked at in that tool are going to be things that they're dynamic, so they'll run at the time of the send of this email. So I can schedule this email week out. We don't do queues, and I can be confident that if more folks fall into this bucket at the time of the send of my email next week, that they'll receive this email as well. But one of the big things that I wanted to point out that we kind of build in, kind of in the theme of making it easier for our clients to adopt best practices that are going to improve, or maintain, right, their domain reputation and their deliverability, is going to be thinking about email address performance. So there's part of this that's exposed to our clients and supporters and part that we do on the back end. So for our clients, for all the email addresses that they have in the system, and I would add that we don't use email as a unique identifier, so an individual can have multiple email addresses. So we actually score each email address. So someone signs up brand new for your email, they get a neutral score of 5. If they are taking actions, then the more action they take, the more they engage with your email, the higher their score. And then if they're not really engaging with email, they'll lower their score. So we do a couple different things with this. One, on our end, we're going to send to your most engaged email recipients first, which is going to ensure that you have higher inbox placement. But also, additionally, we're going to make that information available to you. So on reports for email addresses, you can, bucket all of your email addresses by that score. You can view that score. You can use that score in your queries. But even if you have a query and you don't want to bother with that, right? When you are creating this email, you have the ability to, again, with the click of a button, really easily say, hey, you know what? I don't want to send this to anyone who has a low performing email address. I don't want to send this to them. And so again, just making it really easy. You don't have to think about building that into a query each time of, hey, I only want to send to the people who, have engaged with us in the past 6 months, or whatever that criteria is for your organization. We make it really easy, between the example we looked at in automation to, say goodbye to the people that are no longer interested in hearing from you, more easily find them, and then more easily, right, figure out how to engage them. So having that lapsed, that re-engagement series in automation that we looked at, but also for each email you send, have that level of control to say, hey, we actually only, we want to exclude folks who have a low email performance score. Probably one of the last things that I will show in the email, there's a lot here. I think one of the other things hopefully you've noticed throughout the system is that we have a lot of good help text, again, in the interest and goal of helping make it easier for our clients to keep those best practices as they're using our system. We'll have different tips throughout. We also make it really easy to add a test case. So, we have some clients who before they came to us weren't doing a lot of email testing, and primarily because it was difficult for them, or they just hadn't yet. Making it really easy to just click add a test case. A new copy of this email will spin up. So now we have copy E, we have A through J testing. So you can test up to 10 different emails, and then be able to go through and make some changes here. So again, I think really between using the query tool to both power who we're sending this email to, but then using all of the data points that you saw there, that you saw in the contact record to personalize this email, whether that's pulling from their highest previous gift or their most recent gift amount and giving them a dynamic ask string that passes on to that form, or right, it's going to pre-fill that information if you're linking to a form through our smart links. But also again, we can have a bunch of conditional content. So if I filled out to save the whales, maybe, my pictures of a whale, not a lion, or I told you something about, who I am or a constituency that I belong to, and you're able to use the conditional content. You build it once, you save it as a reusable, and you can drop conditional content in each time. So you have the ability here to really be specific, whether that's, about my interests, or maybe it's the region I live in, and really personalize these emails. I'm going to pause here in case there are any questions.
I don't see any questions coming in yet. go ahead and chime in, folks, if you've got questions specific to what Carly's been showing here, or if you're sort of wondering about like what an implementation looks like for your organization, have more questions around timelines or anything like that, feel free to chime in with those kinds of questions as well.
Yeah, please. I'll keep an eye in case there are any questions. But the last thing I want to quickly show is reporting. So I just talked a whole lot about all the data we're collecting, all the data we're using and taking action on. But just and equally as important, right, is being able to see how that's going and use, use that data to continue to, always improve and always make sure. Again, part of it being actionable is just being able to make sure like, hey, is this going? Like, let's do more of what's working. In order to do that, you have to be able to easily see what's working. So a few very briefly, with our reports, our goal here is we kind of joke internally. We built our reports to be like, the Goldilocks strategy. We don't give you a bunch of raw materials and say, hey, go build a report. But probably only one person in your organization is really going to be the expert. All of it has to go through them. And it's difficult and it's time consuming to build a report. But we also don't give you, a whole ton of, canned reports that seem great, but are fairly useless when you dig in and realize that they're never quite exactly what you need and can't really be customized. So we like to think we're the Goldilocks, and we found the perfect happy medium where we are giving you reports that are, we give you a base that we think is probably somewhat what you want to see, and then we give you a lot of flexibility to make it your own. With all of our reports, once you customize them, you can actually save and schedule them to be automated email to you. That's another, we'll say like, hey, you could really, you could have an email, like you could have a report emailed to you or to someone in your organization who may not even be an EveryAction user every morning. You could have it emailed once a week or once a month or once a quarter. So being able to not only really customize these reports, but also then, automate that export is something that has a lot of value to our clients. You'll see here, please ignore our email rates. We're terrible emailers out of our fake demo system. Our emails, I feel like either have a 0% open rate or like 100% open rate. So with all of these, we can, some of the ways that we can customize these are, by adding filters. So if I want to look at a particular date range sent, we have a lot of dynamic date ranges, or email details. So maybe I only want to look at emails that are part of a particular campaign to compare. And then I can group by these as well. So maybe I want to group by campaign. And you'll see when I add that group by, very quickly I get aggregate columns and I'm able to kind of look big picture and compare for all the different, across the different campaigns. Or I can do, right, like the month that we sent this email. And be able to, kind of look chronologically, or even be able to sort and say, actually, like I want to see which month we had the highest unique open rate. So just sometimes we get 100%. So you'll be able to see here, right, like, being able to sort here the order. So our goal here between being able to easily move columns around, and then even add columns that might not be on here, or get rid of columns that you don't need, that you can really customize this email, get it exactly the way that you want it, and schedule it to be emailed to you whenever you need. So once you customize and save it, anytime you open this, it'll run with the fresh data. And yeah, so this is an example of an email report, but we have it for all of the different pieces of the platform that we looked at today. We have reports for all of these as well. So all of those advocacy actions, all of those, any of the contributions, any of those recurring commitments, those monthly gifts, including the processing of those, that all comes back to our reporting. And again, like we think we built this easy enough that any of the users at an organization can they open a report. This is straight out of the box. This is a report that an organization would have on day one, being able to really customize this. So that's all I plan to share today, and I think we only have about 2 minutes left. Taylor, is there anything that I missed that you were hoping that I would cover?
Sorry, I was muted. No, I thought that was really comprehensive. So I'll just leave here, I'll put my video back on. Hey, coming back. No, I thought that was great, really comprehensive. If you have questions that come in to your head kind of right now, or maybe after the webinar today, we will send you Carly's contact information so you can follow up directly with Carly and her team if you'd like. But also feel free with the minute we have left to chime in if you've got any other questions. Carly, I just want to thank you for showing us EveryAction today. It's a really, really powerful platform. We at Firefly Partners really appreciate our partnership with EveryAction and have clients who use the tool and are able to do a lot with it. So we can personally vouch for it being a really great tool and really, really powerful. So if it looks like something for you, reach out to Carly or reach out to our team if you're interested in, how to select a tool and get up and running on something like EveryAction or something else that you've maybe seen in our tool guide. So without any further ado, I'll just stay here on the line for questions. And again, thank you, Carly, and thanks for everyone who tuned in today.